If I may ask, what's everyone drinking nowadays? I'm guessing milk tea, a Gatorade, a Starbucks Frappuccino. Chances are, it's probably the last thing you drank. These are just some of the popular choices you kids seem to empty your wallets on these days. But have you ever noticed what these drinks have in common? One word: sugar. Yes, lots and lots of sugar. And you've been drinking a ton of it. These are examples of sugar sweetened beverages, or SSBs, drinks that basically have added sugar in them. And drinking them regularly can have devastating effects to your long-term health. Now, increased consumption of SSBs has been known to cause a wide array of health problems such as tooth decay, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and liver disease. All that added sugar in your drink, all unnatural sugar with little to no nutritional value, once digested, is immediately converted into tons of calories. And since your body doesn't know what to do with all of that extra energy, it stores them as fat. Yes, fat. By just drinking a 12-ounce can of soda, you have to bicycle vigorously for over 30 minutes in order to get rid of all of that excess sugar. What's more, a 12-ounce can of soda a day increases your risk of dying from heart disease by almost 33% and increases the risk of acquiring type 2 diabetes by 26%. Furthermore, SSB intake has been linked to serious psychological effects to the consumer. So a study was done on the regular SSB consumers between 13 years old and 18 years old, in which they were deprived of their regular sugar drinks in order to determine what effects it would have on them. And just after 3 days, the participants reported an increase in headaches, decreased motivation to work, lack of contentment and concentration, as well as alarmingly, an increased craving for even more sugary drinks. So not only do SSBs negatively affect your lifestyle, but they're also potentially addictive, which brings the whole thing in a complete sugar consumption cycle. So I'll say it again. Drinking sugar-sweetened beverages are absolutely detrimental to your health. The excess sugar in them brings an assortment of not just long-term physiological health problems like heart disease and obesity, but also impacts one's psychological health and lifestyle. So next time you open a can of Pepsi or order a venti from Starbucks, do think about what horrible things it will do to your body in the long run.
Multiple problems are arising in this century, yet there are still some problems in the past. Humans committed mistakes before, and it is our task as the current generation to fix that. Yet we may be adding more to the problem than eliminating it. Global warming is racing fast, just like our global temperature. According to NASA, the current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it extremely likely, greater than 95% probability, to be the result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennia. Have you ever noticed, over the past few years, that there is a certain increase in temperature? This is due to global warming, and it's not getting better. We, especially the people living near the equator, are trying to reduce the temperature by turning air conditioners on or staying in malls. But this is just a cycle. We try to reduce the heat by using more unclean energy that harms the environment. Oil and coal are one of the greatest sources of energy that humankind uses, yet it is detrimental to our environment. The ways we harness these non-renewable energy are top of the charts, and it is doing more harm than good. I am here to inform you, the audience, about the alternatives that we can use to reduce these problems. I am here to present about the use of solar panels as a source of clean energy and how it is beneficial if we start using them. According to West Coast Solar Energy, 1 kilowatt of power generated from solar panels prevents 150 pounds of coal from being mined, 300 pounds of CO2 from being emitted, and 105 gallons of water from being consumed. According to a recent report by International Renewable Energy Agency, an intergovernmental organization that promotes the adoption of renewable energy, the cost of solar PV panels has decreased 80% between 2009 and 2013, and they will continue to drop. Better efficiencies and decreasing technology costs contribute to the rapidly dropping prices, the agency said in its report. However, most of the cost reduction is currently occurring in the production process, not in the storage and transmission of energy, which is the main hurdle for the industry to overcome. Global warming is an issue that we should tackle and solve quickly before it becomes an irreversible problem. We need to invest on clean energy, more specifically solar energy, because this can actually solve the problem. Solar panels are getting cheaper and the world is getting hotter. Therefore, we should act now. The people need to be educated because this generation is the generation that would save the world. Despite this problem, we should see the silver lining of this issue and see how the world is becoming one to save our planet.
Traffic is a problem that loses people a lot of money, their jobs, or even their lives. To put it into perspective, Filipinos usually take 30 minutes or less to commute to work. But that's only during good days or if they leave early. But during rush hour, don't expect to be the first one in. Rush hour can take hours out of your day. And after doing it for a while, it gets really tiring, it gets stressful, and it really takes a toll on you, especially if you are the driver. This is a bad way to both start and end your day. So if we want to improve our overall productivity, we need to start addressing this traffic problem. So let's look at the 3 common transportation methods used by Filipinos and see how they fare against each other to decide which is best. First, there's of course your private vehicles. They're easy, they're quick, they're reliable, they're safe. You can get wherever you want, whenever you want. However, if each person starts using their own car, it means there will be more cars on the road, which means more congested lanes, which means it takes more time on the road. Each person will just be contributing to the traffic problem. So do you think we can find a balance somewhere in this? Secondly, we have the less public but still private taxis, Grab, Uber. With today's technology and laws, these options have become much safer. They're even more convenient than having your own car because you don't have to maintain it, you can always get another one, and you can always get discounts on your payments. The only downside to them would be their wait time. So if we can wait long enough, do you think this would be the best option for us? Thirdly, we have the public vehicles, the buses and the jeepneys. Buses and jeepneys contribute to the same goal of transporting more people with a single vehicle. They're efficient, they're cheap, and with today's modernization programs, they're very eco-friendly. The only downside to them would be their your loss of comfort, your loss of convenience, they might be less safe, and it might take more time to travel. But do you think this would be the best option for us? Looking at these 3 options and comparing their pros and cons against each other, we can say that buses and jeepneys are easily the best option for our future of transportation. Buses and jeepneys are good for short and long-term distance travels. They may not be as convenient as having your own car, but they're easily the most road-efficient vehicles out there. Let's look at this situation. Cars, on average, can transport around 3 to 4 people, while buses and jeepneys can have a capacity of 6 to 10, 20, 40 to 50 people at a time. Comparing them, buses and jeepneys are around 6, 7, 8 times more efficient. So if we start using buses and jeepneys and use cars less, traffic would be a non-existent problem. And if we continue to develop these vehicles, we can easily get rid of the negatives. So we need to start using buses and jeepneys more and use cars less. So deciding on the future of transportation isn't easy, but it's really about deciding on the correct sacrifices to make. So if each person starts sacrificing a bit of their luxury for the benefit of everyone else, the country would really benefit from it and it would make our lives much easier. Each person needs to take their own step and really take action on doing what is best for everyone. So if we start using buses and jeepneys more, development will be much faster in our country.
This morning, everyone. Today, I will be persuading you on why STEAM education should be integrated into senior high school curriculum. In the Middle Ages, artists were considered skilled laborers, craftsmen, or artisans. They fought fiercely to be considered thinkers and innovators. And sadly, this fight goes on until today. In this generation, being any form of an artist, a dancer, a painter, a photographer, a writer, means that you are choosing a life of financial instability. And nowadays, unless you pursue a STEM field, you are considered stupid or not intelligent enough. And dancing, painting, and anything other than science and math is considered destructive. And we are suppressing beautiful minds by encouraging them to fight for power, money, and fame. And being a scientist or a mathematician takes brains, but being an artist takes heart. And for far too long, students have been taught how to get good jobs. And basically, we are being prepared for something that doesn't exist. Which is why I'm going to persuade the school officials to integrate STEAM education into the high school curriculum, senior high school curriculum, because STEAM education is an integrated approach to learning which involves two or more standards from science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and arts. And they are assessed and taught through each other. And first of all, STEAM encourages critical thinking. It supports the idea of making mistakes, and failure can be productive. Students are taught to systematically think about problems and solve them eventually. And second, STEAM develops creative problem solving skills. Creative problem solving skills is one of the most coveted skills within the job market, and creativity may come naturally to certain people, but STEAM can really be fostered through proper STEAM education. And lastly, STEAM shows students a different way to value arts, because students learn how diverse the arts are, and they learn that art is an integral part of anything, even in math, engineering, and technology. And they are able to put familiar and unfamiliar together, and they discover a world of artistic innovation. And the practical nature of STEM subject is clear, but arts truly play a big role in leading students to success in their future careers. And parents should try to recognize the value of encouraging their children to pursue and develop their talents. To end the speech, I would like to share with you all my favorite quote from The Dead Poet Society by Robin Williams. Yes. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion. And medicine, law, and business, engineering, these are noble pursuits that are necessary to sustain life. But poetry, life, beauty, romance, and love, these are what we live for. Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about may trigger anyone who has it. This is not in any way a video of hate. I'm here to talk about something that has everyone almost not want to talk too much. Answering the hows of it isn't the point though. It's the whys of it. Why is there so much ignorance about it? What are people afraid of that makes them most violent? AIDS. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. AIDS. Here's the problem. How can you hate someone you don't know? Simple question but hard to answer, right? Do you just judge them by how they look, how they act, by their race, by their religion, Or is it maybe by their disease? Maybe hate is a strong word. We try to deny it, but we know that it's definitely true. You know in your hearts that sometimes there's that indifference or slight disgust when you hear someone has AIDS. This must not continue. We can be better people. Now, I'm not trying to simplify a complex situation here. Not everyone is prejudiced, but there are those who actually are, and it's time for hate to just stop. Here's one of the ways I cooked up to help with the situation. Education. It's feasible, not too costly, and can be done with virtually just with my own knowledge and words. The real tea here, ladies and gentlemen, is that people with AIDS are not immoral people. Not really a hard concept to grasp, right? They aren't the monsters that media tries to portray them as. Yes, they may have made some wrong decisions in life, but that doesn't mean that they are totally immoral. Let's never do that. Simplifying people as bad or good, because believe it or not, the world doesn't operate solely on black and white. I've met some people who equate having AIDS with promiscuity. In fact, that isn't always the case. Sometimes people were just with the wrong person at the wrong time. Other times, people have been taken against their will and got infected with it. So what I'm trying to say here is that the world can be a much better place if we just love everyone. Having AIDS or not, and this is going to be really shocking, doesn't actually define the entirety of you. Shocking, right? It's not. A person can be just as good as the next. Don't be so quick to judge. There's always a side to the story that you don't know. Yes, it makes you squeamish to know that someone has HIV, but it doesn't make you have to exclude them. Be precautious, but not to the point of hurting someone else's feelings. Get to know them and why they have it. Put yourself in their shoes. People with HIV are already going through a lot physically and emotionally. You don't have to add to that. Be a beam of comfort and understanding. Be a support system and help educate others. Thank you.